What's good? What's good? It is your guy Travel Matic, and we are back with another Matic Mondays. So, if this is your first time, welcome. And here we talk about all things digital nomad, remote work, traveling, transferring your skills, all of that good stuff, and we package it up and we have a little fun. And it wouldn't be right if I didn't go right to my co-host, the wonderful Sports and Heels. What's good?
What's good? What's good? How you doing?
I am a little tired actually, but it is what it is. I've been doing a little traveling, and so I'm on the downhill part of it. When you come back and then all your adrenaline is and dopamine is down and out, and you kind of come up with that sugar high.
Yeah.
That's how I feel with traveling. But nonetheless, you always have that urge to get back on the plane and get out of here again.
I know. I got 2 trips coming up.
You got 2 trips coming up. That's what I'm talking about. Oh yeah. Tip is getting out of here.
Yes,
As
much as possible.
Yes. And tonight also we're gonna have Miss Kioka to join us. We're gonna welcome her back in just a moment. I thought about her with this topic tonight. We're gonna talk about overemployment. But you know what? So sorry. Welcome back. The panel, the chat. We appreciate y'all coming back. How I forget about y'all. We got Mocha Bella in the house already. We got to always give Mocha a round of applause. Being the first in the chat. And we got
Mocha said she loved all that chocolate in Ecuador.
Oh, yes. The photo behind me is from Ecuador, and she loved the chocolate. I did a little series. I've been kind of just mixing.
We didn't talk about the chocolate series.
Huh?
She talking about the chocolate. She talking about you.
No. She talking about the series I did on Instagram, I think. Hopefully.
Clarify for us.
Mocha's talking about Mocha. Did you see the chocolate series I did on Ecuador?
I know my friend Mocha Bella.
Everyone loved it. And speaking of who else loved it was Miss Kioka. What's good?
Thank you.
Oh, yes, welcome back.
The applause kills me.
Kioka hit me up about the chocolate I was showing on Instagram. She's like, more chocolate, please. I need more chocolate.
That's the content I like.
Oh.
Yes. It was pretty interesting. I got some more. I went to a cacao museum as well too. Wasn't really no chocolate made, but it kind of talked about the history and how the cacao bean was a powerhouse in building Ecuador financially and stuff like that. So it was very interesting. So yeah, I love that kind of stuff, learning about the information in different countries. Yes. See there? She said the chocolate in Ecuador.
Oh, sorry, Mocha.
Yes.
You trying to get something started?
We gonna kill me for that.
I had chocolate beer, chocolate ice cream, the straight chocolate, all that good stuff.
Chocolate beer.
Mm-hmm.
Don't even sound good.
Yes, it was a chocolate stout.
Was it good?
Stout. Yeah, it was good. It was good. I've tried that before.
Me either.
I don't believe it. I'm
Yeah.
going to try. You recommended the Hershey's Yingling or Yunling. I don't know how to say
Yes.
it, but I'll try that.
Did you try it?
I haven't tried it yet, but
Okay.
I'll find it.
Yeah, try it and let me know what you think about it. If you like beer, you would like. I mean, if you just don't like beer, you're not gonna really like it because it's beer.
That's,
You know?
that's my problem. I do not like.
But if you like Guinness, you like
Oh my gosh, that sounds terrible.
Red
No, when I
Sprite.
was in Ireland, I had like this really dark Guinness and it was like kind of smooth. So I'm thinking if they make it with chocolate, that could be a vibe, like a real like I don't know how to
Yeah,
describe it, but just like
that's
real clean and just very smooth. It doesn't have that like
it's a little sweet.
so it doesn't have that like yeast kind of taste. If that makes
Right. Most of those stouts have a little hint of chocolate in them. They're kind of sweet a little bit.
sense.
They're a tad sweet than like your regular Pilsner or whatever. Your IPA especially. But yes, so another thing that we talked about, Kyoka, I was like, I got to get you on to talk about this new trend, in the social media world. They always come up with these trends of black in tech and quiet quitting and stuff, right? So now you have overemployment. So I was like, overemployment, that's a cool little name. Came up on my feed and I went down this rabbit hole and I was like, oh, this is pretty much stacking, right? So I'm thinking like, yeah, a few people stack, but it's like a movement. It's like it's all these forums and like sub forums where they're talking about, hey, I'm stacking this amount. I know a few people that stacked before. I made this amount of money. And so then there's a little level of ethics in it. Like, should you do it? Just because you can do it, should you do it? In a space where it's hard, because before we always talk about unemployment, everybody getting laid off. So tons of people laid off still. And so I had the opportunity to get one role. Okay, I'm working now, but other I get this a lot. Even when I get a role, I still have recruiters contacting me. And it's like, I'll hear you out. You get the interview. You win them over.
Sooner than I thought.
Do you like, dang, I was just playing around with them. And now I have one offer that I'm already working in this first week. 2 weeks later, these people love me again. I'm on a hot streak, right? Do I take the second job too? That's something to think about. Let me go to our faithful tool here that I know my friend here loves, which is
what's about to happen?
Oh no,
you talking about TikTok?
Yeah.
You talking about me?
Yeah, I'm talking about.
That's because he's behind the times. He don't know that TikTok is where you get all the information at. You see the show.
So I
we're with an elder.
$625,000 a year with no crazy experience, degree, anything like that. This person took 3 jobs and claims to only work 25 hours a week. He goes into detail here. He does have some executive level experience, but what he's been doing in the past few years is strategically choosing jobs that don't require much of his time but are high paying. So let's jump into the first job. So the first job he has is an AWS specialist. That's like cloud architecture and stuff like that for Amazon Web Services. It really only takes him 5 hours a week to do it all, and he makes $150K a year. This is a full-time salary position. Crazy. The second one is a senior software engineer role at a big tech. He claims it's not a FANG, but it's big. And he makes $225K, and he only spends 10 hours a week at this job. He claims he was able to get this job only down to 10 hours a week by just putting in the work for a year, gaining that trust with his employer. He shows up to meetings on times, and he just works with like specific customers, and that's it. The third role as a software engineer. It's not a senior level, but it's a contract job. So he makes $1,000 a day or $250K a year. If he works every week, but 2 weeks a year, and it only takes him 10 hours a week. This is a government role. So he said that he got this from an old recruiter. And so, yeah, this is very interesting. These all are very remote jobs. They vary in job type, right? So like some are contract, some are salary. And he strategically, like he says, he makes sure that it requires less of his time to do the most work. Let me know your thoughts. This is called overemployed, where you work multiple full-time jobs. Let me know your thoughts on this stuff. Should you be fired? Is this normal? Should this be allowed?
All right. So what's your thoughts? What's your thoughts? Yeah.
My thought is, why are you telling everybody? That's my thought.
That part.
Why are you telling everybody?
That part.
If I was a person who was interested in being in that lifestyle and doing that, I would keep in mind my current role and those responsibilities and that time commitment, right? And if I was thinking, I could take on another role, and if I wanted to pursue other roles, obviously he's found the right fits, right? Being a software engineer, he has that flexibility. He has that engineering. He knows it's not going to take him long to do some of the engineering work that he's been required. And to be honest, when I think about the projects that I've led over the course of my career, I think a lot of software engineers are doing that. I think a lot of them are stacking, especially when you start thinking about when things are being delivered, when it should be delivered. They're very particular about when things should be delivered. And I know it's because they're weighing the other work that they're doing, right?
Wow.
I just don't like that they're telling everybody. Should you do it? There's no ethics when it comes to making money in capitalism. The higher ups want us to have ethics, but they don't have any ethics. So I think it's fair game. If you can do it, you can do it. I don't think there's such thing as ethics when it comes to that. I mean, people are doing it to make money because that's what this system has taught us, that making money and making large amounts of money is a priority. So if he's willing to take those extra hours that he has, that he can work, because others might take the opportunity to do other things in their life because they don't want to work, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if that's what he chooses to do, all power to him. I'm just saying, why are you telling everybody? Because all you're doing is making the people who don't want us to do that or don't want people to do that look for ways to find out that you're doing that. That's what I don't like. Like, do it and don't say nothing. Do it and don't brag about it. Do it and don't write a whole Reddit about how you're doing it, because then you've got people who weren't paying attention. So you mess it up for everybody, right? That's my only comment.
I agree, but I think it was only a matter of time before the conversations that people are having in person kind of went online, because I've known about friends working multiple jobs for a while. I've worked multiple jobs like probably my whole professional career. So, but I don't go around telling people. I may tell like my homegirl or like my sister, but I'm not like posting online talking about it. I guess I'm talking about it now, but I'm not doing it now. So I feel like it's okay to talk about it.
You may or may not have done it.
Let's be a little clear too on this, because like you said, people have been doing it for a while. Now, when you're freelancing, you have that flexibility to take on, multiple roles on Upserve or whatever, Upwork, all those sites. You can kind of pick, because they're paying you a 1099. But this is more on. That's why when I titled the thumbnail, like you're working a full-time remote 8 to 5.
Yeah, you're W-2.
Yeah. And you're not where you're at a point where you work your 8 to 5 and then you have a 5 to 9 at the airport or the mall or whatever. You have two. That may be two jobs that you're working at the same time, but they're not in the same time block. That's where the ethics come in and the integrity that the lady was talking about in the video. So Yeah, I just wanted to say that before Kyoka finished her statement there.
But I mean, the idea of ethics, like Tiffany said, like they want us to have ethics, but they themselves don't have ethics. I'm talking about business owners and like CEOs, people who run companies. They don't have ethics. They don't care about whether or not we can feed our families. They don't have ethics when they lay us off or fire us, or it's a quick decision. So why should I secure my financial future in any way I can, especially when there's inflation? Y'all seen that debate?
No, I was watching track and
Two
field.
old white men arguing when they're gonna ride us to hell. Just who's driving?
Right, basically.
What?
Yes.
So why are we? I don't know. I don't know if the ethics of the situation is even. It kind of feels like a moot point. And I think like there's this sort of, especially as Black people, we've just been so conditioned into servitude that we're thinking about it from an ethical perspective. And I don't think that other races are even doing that. I don't think other races care.
They don't.
They're just making money. We in capitalism. And I think we, like as Black people, we are so far behind economically that we really don't have time to debate the ethics. We have to get to the money because everybody else has gotten to the money.
You know what I find the most interesting is that older generations, and I've, especially Black generation, older generations, always say, when you get that good job, you stay there 10, 20, 30 years, right? And they would never think of working another full-time. I work for the government. I would never think about getting another full-time job because the government is a good job. You know what I'm saying? I don't need it. But they don't have a problem, stacking. So it's like when you say we're conditioned, it's more than just conditioned. It's like a generational thing. Like when you got a good job, you do whatever you have to do to keep that good job.
Right. And I think it's more of the fear, the thought process of like, man, that ain't right. They don't want me to work two jobs at the same time. I think that kind of seeps in more than anything, that fear of it don't feel right, right? I don't feel right, and because you have to be flexible and you're going to have to miss some meetings and you're going to have to tell a few white tales to get out some meetings because you're going to be double booked. But I wanted to talk about the legal part of this. That's where I wanted to kind of transition to in this conversation, because I always had a question too about that part. And so I must go back to my old trusty TikTok again here, and we'll hear from this guy right here.
Is it legal to be overemployed? There's a growing trend for people to have two or more full-time jobs at the same time. There's no law that says holding two jobs at the same time is illegal. However, it could possibly be a breach of contract and you could get sued. Whether it's ethical is a different question. What do you think? Is it legal?
So the Payne lawyer says legally. So you have to read the fine print. I mean, if you sign a non-disclosure agreement, you can't go work. You can't go and work for a competitor, right?
See, that's, and it's funny you mentioned that, because I had somebody to attack me on social media about that same thing. Now that they're very close. That conversation is cousin one, cousin B, cousin A, cousin B. Mm-hmm. That's if you leave a company. We're talking about if you're at the same company right now. You know what I'm saying? It's not non-compete is where you have 6 months or so grace period where you have to sit out before. We ain't never left the company. We're still here. You see what I'm saying? So that's where this is a real gray area with all of it. Just like with remote work was, now they're doing a lot of IT training. If you're in any type of corporate America right now, you will always get this new training of you can't take your laptop abroad, because that was never really set. Everybody had to come in the office for most points, right? Mm-hmm. So now with COVID set a new trend of oh, I'm working remote, it's not in the books anywhere where it says I can't work, abroad. So that's a new thing. This overemployment has created a new niche where it never has been before, because most people had to go into an office. So now that's where it's like they're going to start. And I've started to see roles where it'll say in the actual header or the job description, only this job, or you can only work this one job per contract or something like that. So I'm starting to see them catching on to it because of it's out in the media now, where I never really saw it out in the media before stacking. Stacking was kind of like that, hey, I'm stacking this job, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm making a little money. I'm doing both roles. It was never like, all this publication out. You got Reddit threads now. You got people on TikTok talking about it. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to catch up with, people eventually, but people making money from it.
I think the way to get around that is 1099. That way nobody can dictate anything. Which,
Okay.
You can't. If I'm 1099, you don't get to dictate. Yeah. I tell you how many hours I'm available and what I'm able to complete. You tell me what you need, and I tell you how long it's going to take. And we agree to a timeline, and that's just how it works.
Right. See, the 1099 helps in a lot of different ways. It actually helped with the remote accessibility as well, too.
Yeah, because you can't tell me coming to your office if I'm 1099, because now you got to pay mileage and.
Well, really, it's because the taxes. That's what was the main argument. But taxes and your IP address, the security aspect of your IP address, but that still can be kind of, a gray area. But the tax purposes with you working as a W-2 employer, because your taxes are taken out by your employer based on where you're staying, right? But when you're 1099, you're responsible for your own taxes. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's why companies always say, well, you can, they give you remote, they'll give you remote a little, because there's that grace period of you're going to be out of the country, no more than 3, something like 6 months or 9 months or whatever, right? So they give you a little time period so you won't break that tax law. But when you're 1099, I'm paying my own taxes, state, federal, I have my own responsibility of paying them. Then that kind of takes it out of their hands. And I think that'll help too with the overemployed. You see what I'm saying? Because you're kind of like freelancing a little bit. You're back in that freelancing world.
Right. That's where that's where you are. You can work multiple contracts. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm doing now. I mean, that works.
Mm-hmm.
But and as a person who doesn't disagree with what people are doing, it's none of my business. But here's the caveat to that. When you talk about overemployment, that becomes the ethical issue for me. Because I'm not talking about the businesses. I don't care if the corporations are losing money because people are working multiple jobs. I don't care about that. But I do care about, we're in an economy where it is very difficult to get a job now.
Mm-hmm.
Very difficult. And with the rising cost of inflation, like Key just talked about, is it greedy? From that standpoint, I mean, we just use the guy's example from that Reddit she talked about in the first TikTok. He's making $250 at one, $250 at another. This is 1,000, right? 250,000, right. And he's making 150,000 at another one. So he's grossing over $500,000 a year working these 3 contracts, right?
Right.
So that's 2 people that could be gainfully employed that are not employed because he has 3 jobs.
Mm-hmm.
That's the part I'm struggling with, because the spirit part of me is saying that's greedy, because you're not providing for your family at that point. You can't tell me you need $500,000 to survive unless you have a child or a family member you're responsible for, and their medical bills is costing you $500,000, which could be possibly true. We don't know his situation. But without that being said, that feels greedy to me. And when I think about if allegedly I've done that, I've been greedy too to do that. You know what I'm saying? So that's the spirit part of me saying, I don't know, y'all.
That's that blackness.
5 years ago, when the economy wasn't like this, maybe I wouldn't have a problem with it. But now, oh man, now it's like the spirit part of me is like, y'all, I don't know. I don't know if I like that. It's
But
greedy.
I feel like those are like I feel like that guy is the exception to the rule. I don't know that people are pulling that much. Like he was working
It's some people pulling in that kind of money.
There's people pulling in that kind of money, but I would say most of the people who are stacking aren't pulling in $500,000. I think that's crazy. Like they're probably making $300K at most.
But that's a lot of money to make. $300K is a lot of money.
Because when we think about student loan debts, and we think about how my generation can't afford to even buy a house, we can't qualify for housing, and the rising cost of rent, even in places where I'm staying, like in Dallas, like $3,000 for a month. It's excessive. The rising cost of food, he don't even need a child. Like if he does have a child, the child don't need to be hospitalized. It could just need daycare. And the cost of daycare is exorbitant. So it's like the $500,000 don't hit the way it used to, is what I'm saying. So I would say it would be, if we were looking at this from 5 years ago, then I would say, oh, you just greedy. You just want to go on trips. But in today's world,
Keoka, that's $6,731 a week. If that's of a $350,000.
I mean, maybe he needs a financial advisor. Maybe he is like, maybe he's ordering DoorDash. I'm just saying, money disappears.
I bet you he drives a Tesla. I bet you he lives in a corner apartment. Like it's not really about surviving at that point. It's about excess. That's what it's about.
Sure, but then why does it become my responsibility as the average day American to instead of creating an equitable environment for everybody, why is it now on the individual to help other people when it's never been that way before? Like, why is it now my responsibility to adjust my spending, to adjust my cost of living, to not get the money that I'm able to get because I'm worried about taking jobs from other people that are probably not as capable as I am.
Taken advantage of. I want them to get raped just like they rape them. You know, I want the average man to get your money however you can from these corporations. I want you to. But the spirit part of me saying I'm taking a job and food from another person. That's just the empathetic part of me that's feeling that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's that person's responsibility, but it does makes it hard for me to, just because I have empathy for the other man that's out there struggling. But it's not your responsibility. It's just a conflict that's within me.
This sounds like a socialism versus capitalism conversation.
I don't support capitalism. I understand that there are like so many factors against us right now that I really can't hold anybody's foot to the fire about how they're surviving.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, it makes it difficult for me to knock another person who's been able to sort of subvert the system, whereas like another person just hasn't been able to.
Right.
And then we're assuming that this other person has the same capability, the same knowledge, and the same access. And that's not necessarily true. Because it's like, if I have 3 jobs and I'm doing all of my jobs good, you may have 1 job, you're doing it okay. Why are we getting the same amount of money? It kind of makes sense that I would make more.
Now, so that may go into the next conversation of quality, which from my observation, most have said that, okay, you can get the second job, but your quality may suffer in your first job if you pick up a second job. Because we're talking about in the same time frame, 8 to 5. You know, we're not talking about like 8 to 5, then 5 to 6, 5 to 9 to close. You're talking about people who you were doing very well. Now let's say this guy, the guy on TikTok, the one she was explaining, the guy got 3 roles. Is it our thought to think that he is excelling in all 3, or
But is he sucking at all 3? Like, because I think, but as a Black person, as a Black woman especially, I'm used to pushing myself to be high achieving. When I was in school, in all of my roles, I've just always worked hard. I've always achieved effortlessly. So if I've been accustomed to thrive under pressure, because that's the environment that I was sort of forged in, I'm able to take on more work than someone who probably has not grown up in that same environment, thrived in that same environment.
Okay.
So there's an assumption here that because they have multiple roles, they're not doing their job efficiently.
Right. Is there assumption?
Maybe I haven't hit my capacity yet. I'm working, like if I'm working 2 jobs and I'm doing really good and I still have more time to do other things, I'm still not at capacity.
Okay. I like that point of view. It's a valid point of view.
How about not caring about if your quality goes down?
Right, because what is quality? Right.
Well, I mean,
I care about quality because my work speaks for myself, though. That's why
what I mean is, why does your quality have to be above and beyond? Why can't your quality just be good? Why does it have to be? He has to be excellent. He don't have to be excellent. He just has to be good enough to do his job. We're talking about a job, y'all.
Yeah, we're talking
about a job. We're talking about going to work, getting your job done, and doing what you get paid for. So if he's able to go to work, get his job done, and do what he's getting paid for, he doesn't have to have excellent quality. He can have good enough quality, and that's probably what he's striving for: good enough quality to maintain the role.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm an advocate for especially Black people being overemployed, because I think ideally we are the best and built for it because of Black people used to work in 2 people. It's somebody on 3rd shift right now that just got off from 1st shift. You know what I'm saying? And they on that Black job. They ain't on.
I don't know what you mean.
I know. What's a Black job? Tell me what a Black job is.
I'm not aware.
We're gonna have a show on Black jobs and white jobs, because for the longest we worked 3 jobs, and that's what I said the show is based on an 8 to 5, working 2 and 8 to 5, but the capacity, the mindset of this to keep being engaged and working and working and working. We've always done that as a people, but we don't get the compensation to match the output. You see what I'm saying? So I think
well, when you bring that up, it's interesting that now there's a conversation about the ethics when we finally start to get the compensation for working the 2 jobs. Because I feel like this wouldn't even really be a conversation if Black and brown people didn't start getting it. Oh, we probably would never know about it.
Listen. Right. This is only a trend because Black and brown people started getting involved with it. Now it's an issue. Trust me when I tell you, these people have been stacking for years, for decades. Okay, especially in tech, they've been stacking for decades. You got CEOs and executives who are executives of more than one company. Give me a break. They've been stacking for years. Okay. But the common man has figured out how to stack. And then Black people and brown people have figured out how to stack. And now it's an issue. So they didn't care when white boys was going over to Brazil and Colombia, Mexico. But soon as the brothers started posting, they going to Colombia and this and that, and they working remotely, then it became an issue. They didn't care. As long as you got your work done. Right. But then y'all go on the internet, create forums and tell people how to do it and this and that. And now everybody know about it. And now everybody got a problem. But they've been doing it for decades. I've worked in corporate America for a long time. And I can tell you and confirm for you, there are so many in executive management teams that stack. So many. They've been doing it for years.
Mm-hmm.
CEOs who stack or on the board, because when you're on the board, you get paid too. So
Right.
they have different ways and different terminology when it comes to stacking, but they're over employed as well. They just don't use the same terms that we use. Trust me.
Yeah. And to be honest, a lot of these roles, especially in IT, don't garner your time, 100% of your time. There are some roles where I know myself, like being a BA, like, once you've kind of done the discovery, you've done requirements gathering on the back end of, you got the backlog all set up and the project is going. The BAs, the analysts, they're not so used heavily in the process of
Development. Yeah.
I'm speaking of the software development life cycle, to give more context. But at the beginning, the analysts are used highly, more than anybody on the project. But as it gets started and you come into fruition, come to the end of the actual project, there's less of the analyst to be, and you can use that time to stack or whatever.
I mean, that's another thing. I think the job type, the roles matter, because people assume that, oh, you're getting a lot of money, you must have a very busy job. But often the people who get paid the most, their jobs don't really require that much of them.
I mean,
that is true.
The higher you go, the less daily tasks you really have. It's really managing. And once you learn how to manage it,
Yeah.
I mean, once you learn how to manage the workflow that's coming in, then, I mean, how do you think these CEOs get to leave and go play golf? How do you think
like a doctor, right?
Yeah.
Like the nurses do everything.
They manage their schedule. Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're not stacking no retail jobs.
Yeah, and especially developers too. Developers, because they're so in a bubble and they don't lead a lot of calls. They're not so in the forefront of the project. They can easily. I think some of my last project was stacking because I'm like, man, what the hell y'all at? Y'all will never be.
No way y'all at. Stop looking for people.
Oh no, I'm a scrum master. I didn't know what he had because my job is on the line if I don't know what he had. But just they're in a if it was a virtual room, they're in the back somewhere, like, and they're supposed to be and they can work. They can be working. It all depends on if they're nice with their coding. They can get code done in like an hour, and
most of them do. They get it done within the first hour or two, and then they're just available on Teams for the rest of the time.
But see, another thing is people don't know how long certain jobs are supposed to take.
They don't.
So then they're like, oh, Jim's been coding for 8 hours, and Jim has like finished his code in 30 minutes, and now he's like at the movie theater on the beach somewhere in Zimbabwe.
That's real.
Right.
That is so real.
It's the same thing with me as like a copywriter. Like people would be like, oh, we need you to write, I don't know, we need you to write like a white paper or something, and it's 10 pages. Okay, I need a week to do it or whatever. I'll give y'all a day, a solid day.
Right. I mean, I guess copywriting would be the same thing as, writing code. You're writing, literature, and they're writing code. So I'm sure it's about the same.
I'd say project manager, you definitely can stack.
I don't know. Because you're leading a lot of calls.
Yeah, but if you stacking in different time zones, trust me.
And if you're like a super organized person,
you have to be. You have to be.
I could see it.
About it. You're not doing. All you're doing is facilitating calls and follow up. When you talk about project management, you're literally delegating. So that delegation don't have to be on a phone. You know what I'm saying? You do your call to check in the morning. You do your call with your stakeholders, maybe a couple times a week. But generally speaking, you're not on a whole lot of calls unless there's something blowing up. So it's manageable depending on the type of project that you're managing. So you can find yourself managing another team. I'm working in the waterfall space, ERP space, and I know project managers who worked multiple projects while working for a W-2 company. You know what I'm saying? They worked multiple projects. So I know you can stack. If you pull them out of that W-2 and put them on one project, right? And they go get another W-2 and get another full-time project, they can work both because they have to do it in one project. They won't work multiple projects.
Well, you know what? That is, I was about to say, shit, I was working multiple contracts within the same contract.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You work in consulting, you're an SAP consultant. You know, you're a SAP, you're a developer, and you're working for a consulting company. They got you on multiple projects. You're not just working on one project. They pimping you out. So you decide, I'm not going to do that no more. I'm going to work on this one project, and I'm going to go get another project and be an SAP consultant at this project. I'm going to work both W-2s. I'm going to stack because they doing it anyway in consulting. They stacking you.
Right.
It's just hustling.
That is the truth.
It's all about who's hustling who, though.
Yeah.
Hustle, or I'm gonna let you hustle me. So that's what got me. That's what got me allegedly, maybe if I've ever done it, got me into it because I saw what they were doing. You sending me out to multiple projects for a consulting company. So I said, and then I worked on the client side, meaning I worked on the billing side. So I know how much it costs to have me. I know how much you bill in the client. So I'm just gonna be like, Now, and then I work with subcontractors. So I know how much subcontractors are getting paid, how much the subcontracting company, third-party company is getting. I can see all of that, and I know all of that. So it was like, well, why am I allowing them to pimp me out to different projects, and I'm working 4, 5, 6 projects when I could only be working 2 and make double or triple the amount?
Mm-hmm.
Fair.
Yeah. D. Charles says it's not always about surviving. Maybe he wants to thrive. Definitely. And he also said, take the money out of the equation and just say he has 3 jobs. If he can do it and the jobs are happy with his level of performance, more power to him.
Yep.
Definitely. So if you are interested in stacking, I have the 12 rules that you definitely need to know.
Is it on TikTok again?
No, this is just an article here. No more TikTok for today. No more TikTok for today. 12 rules for working 2 remote jobs. First we have don't talk about working 2 remote jobs. What
did I say? Didn't I say shut up? Shut up. Yes.
And yes, these are the guidelines more than hard and fast rules. But for newbies, this is all for newbies. You should need these rules, heed to these rules closely. So that's the first one. The second one is don't fall in love with your second burn job.
Don't fall in love with the side chick.
Side piece, exactly.
Don't fall in love with the side
for a reason.
Yes, don't fall in love with your job, specifically your second job. It is not for a person I heard who had 2 jobs at the same time. Sometimes the second job may be better than the first. So I mean, it depends. I think you shouldn't fall in love with either one of them, but it helps to just like them both equally. It is harder to make logical decisions when there is attachment. The attachment includes the role itself, the company brand on your resume, and coworkers. The more attached you are, the more you make emotional rather than rational choices. For example, decisions you might make on what job you want to show on your LinkedIn. That is true. Whether to leave the job or whether to stay.
Yes,
that is a good. Let's pause there for a moment, right? So you got the 2 jobs. You cannot, because recruiters definitely be looking at dates. I've had a few times where recruiters question me about dates, and I'm like, "Mother, that's the date." Talking about, well, how could you work this? You trying to tell me about my? Dog, because like for well, it seems like I get a hot streak, right? I get a hot streak, which it's not really the hot streak. It's more of around October, November. They're really doing the budget for new resources for the incoming year, right? So if you want to get in IT, especially sometimes, especially around that October, that third quarter, if you put your resume out, you'll get a bite,
now,
right?
This is a good time to redo your resume. Third quarter.
And yes, and so I've gotten that bite, right? And so I've always kind of started around January. And this dude was like, how you started a job every year? January for every year, every like 3 years straight, I started a new role. And he was just like, is that an error? I was like, no, it's not an error. I'm like, why you? So yes, you're gonna have to pick one. Which job do you pick to show on your LinkedIn?
And you pick the one that has the most marketability. That's what the one you pick, by the way. The one that shows the most longevity and the most marketability. That's the one you pick. If it's truly a side job, you picked it because it fits into your lifestyle, not because of what you're doing. Am I clear on that? It's not because of the work you're doing. You're not gaining no new skills by working the second job. It's fitting in because you don't want that. You don't want to pick a job that you have to learn to do. It's got to fit in what you already have in your wheelhouse of tools, right? That you're already capable of doing. That's why it fit.
As a, I'll say as a writer, for me, when I was stacking, I was working in two different fields. So when it comes to building your portfolio, sometimes it's nice to have a diverse set of examples. So I will say yes to all of that, but have a good excuse if the times do overlap. And so for me, I would often say, oh, I started off doing freelance work for that company, or I started off doing contract work for that company. That's why it kind of overlaps a little bit. So yeah.
Yeah, contracting is always a way you can fill those questions when they have questions about the timing. And in tech, they'll ask you, oh, was that a contract?
Yeah, good stuff.
Even if it wasn't. Yes, it was.
Good stuff, Kyoka, definitely. Because I was going to say too, like I said, started in January, right? Let's say March, I get a second job. I'm starting to stack in March. I worked that until September. I let it go. Do I still show the second job, even though I've been at the first job since January and I'm still there? Do I still show it?
No, I would say no. Unless it was like, it would have to benefit you in some way by showing the job. Like if it was a new role that like you had never done before, but if it was just something, if it was the same work that you were doing just to make some extra money, I wouldn't show it. It'd be no point. It's not adding to your portfolio or adding to I wouldn't do it.
I would just change the dates. I would add it, but change the
Right.
Because that way I would still be, because people are more apt to hire you when you're already employed than when you're not. So I ain't got to let them know I'm unemployed. If that I have the other one. I want them to see. I'm just gonna change the date so that the dates coincide with me still being with them. If that makes sense.
But then they do the background check. So what you gonna do then?
They don't.
And the date on that.
I have friends who work in recruiting, and they said they don't be really doing that. So some do, some don't.
We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. Pause that. We're gonna get to that too. We're gonna get to that.
Some do, some don't.
Number 3. Do your own research.
Yes.
No one has skin in the game more than you. Are you considering overemployed? Filter signal from the noise and watch out for confirmation bias. Rationalizing to reinforce how you feel. People will give you advice based on their own experiences, and everyone will think they're right. This includes, that's us right here. We think we're right. This includes what you read on this website. It's always better to have more inputs, but don't go paralyzed by analysis. You should have already done your own research. Definitely do your own research. Don't believe us people up here on this panel. Have a clearly defined goal. Definitely have a exit. That's the next one I'm about to say. Have an exit strategy. Go into 2 jobs with a goal and operate off that goal. Is it early financial freedom to pay off some debt and buy a house? Being indecisive and losing focus is a recipe for anguish, burnout, and stress. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Because you can blow through that money too.
That
You can definitely blow through that money. You like, ooh, I get these checks. You like, shh, I'm about to book a flight. that not seeing that was that.
And it's also,
But,
especially as burnout
I
becomes
could see me
more,
catching a few more flights than
especially as burnout is becoming like sort of a hot button topic, I would say it's important to understand that you deserve rest too, because like, yeah, you do kind of get high off of making so much money. It's probably more money you've ever made in your life. And being able to afford things, being in a different socioeconomic status in a way. I think a lot of people, like for travel, for instance, like a lot of people love to show, oh, I'm, in Bali at this resort. I'm getting bottle service at the club or whatever it is. Everybody likes that sort of luxury. And it's important not to fall prey to that, because working 2 jobs is not sustainable. Not in the long run. Not if you're functioning at high capacity, like you don't always need to be putting everything into your workload. Now, if it's something where it's like, okay, I'm working 2 jobs, everybody is getting 10%. I'm only really working a total of 20 hours a week or 30 hours a week. This is okay. Then fine. But especially with the economy that we're in, you could get laid off, you could get fired, and your entire lifestyle could change if you're banking on having 2 jobs always.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's important having a clearly defined goal, because we weren't only built to work, people.
Yeah.
So you've got to have time and space and energy for the things that will continue to bring you joy and make you a well-rounded, likable individual, if that's what you care about. Um, and having an exit strategy is going to be crucial to you having a clearly defined role. You definitely have to set boundaries, because that money does look and feel good. Let me tell you something. Having all that money in your bank account deposit on payday, especially if you get paid biweekly and they fall on opposite weeks of each other, so you're getting paid every other week, and you got a big fat checks coming in. That does, I'm telling you, it from what I heard, it feels good. But don't get caught up in that. You've got to set a personal boundary or a goal for your strategy for yourself, that you're able to balance that. Otherwise, you will get burnt out. You will get overwhelmed, and you'll crash.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So if you're trying to save some money, trying to invest in some property, trying to get a 3-5. I mean, whatever you're trying to do it, then get out. You know what I'm saying? It's like dope games, like the dope game. Have an exit strategy. So yeah, we went over that already. The next one will be get what you want by giving people what they want. It's interesting. If you feed into success in 2 jobs is all about perception. If you feed into people's perception of what they want from you, you're more likely to get what you want from them.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I'm performing,
so it's more like help me to help you.
Well, if I'm performing where they feel like they're getting what they want from me, then I get the trust and the flexibility to do things how I want to. Hey, I'm gonna be out on Friday because I've got this. Well, really, you got a conference you're going to for the other place. You know what I'm
saying? Yeah, I think sometimes we go above and beyond these roles and we don't get the compensation, but we waste a lot of time. And let's just say they want you to do A, B, and C, but you do A, B, C, D, E, and F, but still get to pay for A, B, and C. You could have been putting your time for D, E, and F towards the second role,
Yeah.
So maximizing your time and just knowing what their perception of what they want from you. What are they? That's like a day in the life. What's the day in the life of the analyst and the expectations you have for this person in this role. It's kind of like some of the questions I asked during interviews, and so you can kind of understand what the tone is supposed to be for this role. So I definitely agree with that. That's a good one there. I got an example too. For example, a hiring manager will want someone that is confident. What they're really looking for are cues that they associate with confidence. Whether you are confident or not, you just need to feed them those cues and give them what they want to see and hear.
Who wrote this?
I know. Right. Go to the next one because I don't even read the paragraphs. Let's just have our own commentary because I don't like what they write. Kyoko, the copywriter is analyzing the copywritten word.
Yes, that's just her. That's her job. Then 7 is be average.
So this is what I said. Don't have to excel. You don't want nobody to notice you.
Yeah.
Don't add more work for yourself.
Yes, be average. Don't exert yourself.
Going back to rule number 1, you don't want people talking about you and tripping on a common connection to your other job. Number 8, take care of yourself first.
So wait, with number 7, I feel like as a Black person,
go ahead.
Like sometimes it's like you don't want to be the source of somebody's envy by doing too good of a job. So like sometimes flying under the radar, if you know you're working 2 jobs and you're just like doing the bare minimum on both, you don't want to like rock the boat because then you have like, either you have like your director or your manager saying like, we want to promote you and we want to give you more responsibilities. No, don't give me more responsibilities. Or you have a coworker who's jealous of you because they see the attention that you're getting. So then they start to like look you up and be like, oh, are you working here or something like that? It could start some kind of you making yourself.
That's why you got to find them when you get hired at the second job. It's just my little side tip to give to people. If I was to do this, I would find them on all my social media platforms, the people that I work with on the team, and I would block them. Block them on LinkedIn, block them on Facebook, whatever socials you're using. Block them. That way they're not looking you up, or make it so that only recruiters can look you up. That way you ain't got to worry about them. Take your picture off.
And that may sound drastic, but in my last role, I had a lady to look me up. While on my team, one of my analysts, while she's on my team, looking me up.
Yeah, I did too. That happens a lot, especially when they're people of the Caucasian background. They tend to look you up, especially when you're leading a meeting. They definitely go immediately 5 minutes before the meeting go look you up, or right after the meeting's over, they go look you up.
They want to know your credentials. Make sure you're qualified.
Yes. That happens a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Mm-hmm.
So block them.
They do.
When I get a list of names who will be attending the meeting, I look them up on LinkedIn and I block them.
Take care of yourself first.
I'm gonna start doing that. I never took it that far. Let me start doing that.
Oh, I do. You're gonna block them.
Yeah.
Them colonizers be looking. They be trying to size you up to see if you're a threat or not.
2 years later, they'll still try to look you up.
Do that.
They'll still try to look you up, Kyoko, 2 years later.
Crazy.
Like, why are you looking me up now? I'll make a post or something, and I'm like, they'll look you up. Trust me. Oh, I wonder what she's up to now.
Yeah, that's possible too. Mm-hmm. Take care of yourself first. No matter what, you should prioritize your health. if the pandemic has shown us one thing, is that life is full of unknowns.
That's
Yes, stress. Because I did read in one of these Reddits that this young lady, she wasn't old, and that's not to say that this contributed to her demise, but she did die, and she was a person who was stacking. I don't know how long, but
I was
yeah.
not
So
expecting you to say that. I was not expecting you to say that.
yeah,
That she died. I mean, I think everybody should be conscious of, and I think this is the issue with like being in the US. Like, you get so used to being in a stressful environment that you don't realize you're in it until you leave for an extended period of time. But your body keeps the score, right? So like, if you're working 2 jobs and even one of them is like a toxic environment or you're always stressed out, no amount of money is worth your health, mentally and physically, at all. 100%. It's not worth your health. It's not worth your happiness. It's just not worth it. Because, you'd have been poor before. I'm sure of it. You'd have been hungry before. I'm sure of it. So it's like, why are you pushing yourself to your demise?
mm-hmm.
I'm only supporting stacking if it's beneficial for you and you aren't overwhelmed and stressed out. I don't support stacking if you feel like you don't have the mental capacity for it. If you know you're stressed and you know you're not happy,
Right.
don't do it. Don't do it. If you have a job that you absolutely hate, if you're going to do it, like they said, set a goal, right? So like, be like, all right, I'm only going to do this for 3 to 6 months. I'm going to get my little nest egg and get out of this. Have a plan. So then when you want to, like, not that that's why that lady died, but if you want to, like, quit one day, you can be like, okay, I feel fine, I'm going to quit.
Yeah, I mean, because it could be that money could look good, boy, when it come in on Friday. Ooh, especially after you done paid all them bills and you still got a couple of bands in the bank. It's hard.
How much is a band?
Huh?
How much is a band?
About
$1,000. When you done
Let's
paid
see
all
how
your
fast
bills and you got let's say you got, let's say from your checks you still got about a good 3,000 to 5,000 left. Remember, I said on 350 annually, you bringing in 6,700 a week.
Yeah, so you're not paying bills weekly.
Hopefully you setting yourself up for your future, because everything's going to go up in flames. So prepare yourself.
You could pay all your bills with one check. That's a lot of money. But all right, number 9, have no ego. Be wrong to be rich. Ego is the enemy of good leadership. Ain't that right? Lord, that's a word right there.
Yeah, but you stacking. You ain't
so says HBR. Whoever that is.
I don't like the person who wrote this. You can't have an ego and be average. I don't understand. It's an oxymoron. You can't do both. So I just don't have no ego. Be wrong to be rich. Whatever. I don't understand that one. You're not trying to be a leader.
I think he's saying here. Well, maybe he just used that quote, but I think it goes back to what you were saying. Like, I feel that you said the spirit in me is saying, and or not. I mean, you said ego, but there's something wrong. You said with feeling like stacking. So if you have that mentality, you're not going to get into all this money here by just doing it the right way. That's maybe.
Yeah, but he's talking about, can you stomach being mediocre? That's what he's talking about.
I said this, for example, are you afraid to be laid off? Being told you need to improve? Can you stomach just doing a mediocre job and being judged by your peers?
Yep, I can
Will you
stomach
be
it.
willing to resign after 2 weeks if the new job is too demanding?
Yes.
Would you
I
worry
think
about what people think? Oh, okay.
I don't think it. Okay, so I don't think that this person wrote this very well, but I think what they're saying is that, like, in this scenario, there is no sort of perfect situation. So you may have issues that arise from your second job, even from your first job, right? Like being asked to improve. Maybe you have a coworker that you dislike, and there's that sort of like contention during meetings or something, or like these little things that happen in work environments. So I guess this person is trying to say, don't get caught up in that like minutia. Just kind of like remember your goal,
Mhm.
remember what you're trying to do, and push forward, even though like it's the reality of work anyway. So it's probably like all of that little like the microaggressions and everything times two. So are you going to be able to deal with these work environments out here having to do more than one? I'm assuming this is somebody who obviously is working like 2 full-time jobs. Or not. Why ain't say nothing?
Yeah.
I just don't like
And
that point. Next one, especially since we're fine.
Okay. 10. Live to work another day, another dollar. Taking a book from Trading Psychology. The rule here is survive to work another day. Do your work, meet expectations. Don't do extra, and don't get terminated.
But isn't that the same as be average?
Um,
I feel like we're repeating. He ran out of ideas and he's repeating.
Needed 12.
Because that's the same as being average and
12.
take care of yourself.
Self-improve.
mhm.
I don't-
Always
when I'm
seek
stacking-
to
Number 1 is also number 12.
Oh,
He really wanted 12 points.
Yeah, I would have liked 11 because I like the number 11, but
I would have liked 10. Just
yeah,
give
but
us
hey,
10.
yeah, he
This
could have did 10. He really could have did 10.
Kyoka, I wish you
He
was in
or she.
a copyright
Yeah,
re-edit of
that was entertaining, very informative there. So yeah, we're a little over. I did want to show y'all one more thing, the Reddit thread as well. Very good stuff in here. Like I said, this stuff is just everywhere. They are showing you everything in here. We got a lot of cool, interesting blogs here. Yeah, this one was one that I just read too. I like to think I've gotten pretty good at screening J's. They say J1, J2, J3. That means like the your stacking job.
Yeah.
So to see if they are good fits for my lineup. But man, did I get food on this latest one? I started today, and my calendar is already full of meetings. I'm talking weeks out in advance. Daily stand up for an hour. Ooh, for an hour. Good gracious. Other invites for weekly meetings all over the place. Strong camera on culture. Ooh.
Hate that for you.
hard.
I do too.
That camera on is going. That's the kicker right there. That camera being on.
Dagger in that. Yeah. Yeah.
That is tough. I assume.
A lot of it because
I will have to let this
only black person on the team, and they want to see you.
Well, if you're leading a meeting,
but
I
the
try
camera
not to
on culture is.
But
the camera on culture is more of a tenured environment. Typically, most of the time, people who've been together 10, 15 years, or like the new environments. They hardly are like new groups coming together, new team coming together. It is very hard to get them on camera like that. Nobody is is so sociable to where they want to be on camera like that.
I
But them
feel
ones
like
that
the camera on is like micromanagement. Like they want to make sure that you are at your desk. I think there's some companies that do that.
yes,
I agree.
definitely in the micromanaging culture. But I think more of it's from the, we all family. I've been knowing John for 10 years and I've been knowing Susan for 15 years. And, I miss the dogs and, oh, can I see the dog? Oh, can I see the baby? Can I see the grand? And,
I so hate that. So hate
yeah,
that. I hate that.
that's
That
them.
that's to me telling me you don't socialize with anybody but people at work, and you forcing socialization on me about with my personal stuff. I absolutely hate it. I don't
Do you
want to see people with your
found out
baby or dogs.
I
I don't
found
want to
out
see
one of my exes didn't tell his coworkers that we broke up, and so he had just been pretending like for them that we were together. And he's been doing this for like a year and a half. I was like, why is it I was like, why is that so important? Like, and to keep it going. I don't know, it's weird.
Right. Here's another one too. Emotionally overwhelmed, being OE for over a year now. J1 is a niche market with growth. J2 is iffy, and I have survived 3 rounds of layoffs. Ooh, that's good. TC is about total contract is about 300,000.
2.5 years of living expenses saved. Nice.
Yes.
But see, this person, I feel like, okay, you've reached the point where, like, if you don't feel secure, that's when you need to opt into therapy, because you've reached the point where you should be all right. I don't know what you got going on.
No, they it's a lot of fear mongering right now. So I mean, it is what it is. People,
she seemed like she had a little rough because she said my kid and I shared a bedroom.
Yeah, she definitely is holding on to the trauma of being broke, and there's a lot of people who live like that. There's a lot of people who are holding on to trauma of when they didn't have, when they had less, and so they don't know how to act with more. To be honest with you.
Yes. This is why OE, if it gets toxic, replace the J. Yes, toxic work culture. You can stack a toxic work culture. That's a good thing for you because I could not do that. The work number. I know Tiffany just mentioned that. Charles as well was talking about that. Freeze employment data accounts if you can like the work number. If you can like the work number. Okay, the work number. I think I've spoken about this briefly here on Matic Mondays. It is a product offered by Equifax. Equifax already has like all your data from when you was in 3rd grade, right? So, and I know this because I used to work for Equifax, so I understand all of this. So they say, okay, well, sometimes they take the data that they have, this raw data, and they package them into like certain little products. And so maybe about 15 years ago, they came up with this thing called the work number. And it's a platform that they sell to these major companies, even the small companies. And before, when you did a background check, they would have to, like, you put the number, can I call this your former employer? And they would manually have to do that. Even if you had 10 jobs, they had to go through that. And sometimes they would not do all that, right? Pointing what Tiffany was saying. But the work number now is put your social in, put your first and last name in, hit enter, and everything comes up. They don't have to do nothing. And so they just cross-verify everything from what you put on your application to what you have on the work number output. So I found out too that you can freeze this. I didn't know that you could freeze it, but you can go to the work number, which is theworknumber.com, and you can put in a request to freeze your profile. Just like if you was to have a profile, like you do freezing your credit file, you can freeze your work number file as well. So there's tons of information out there on that. So yeah. Oh, Tippett, EPM, what's good, man? I'm glad you came in and joined the conversation. So yeah, that's about it. We over our hour. I got to go pick my daughter up too. So this was very informative. I've learned a lot myself here. Appreciate Keoka coming through.
Yeah. Always good to see you.
Yes,
Anytime.
definitely. We appreciate you stepping through. Let me find your information because you have been dropping some nice videos. Hold up, let's give it up for Keoka. She has just hit 700 subscribers on YouTube. Congratulations. I know how hard that is.
I gotta get those watch hours up.
Yes, keep doing your lives. Keep doing your live streams up. That will get your watch time up. You're gonna be at the 1,000 before you know it.
Feel free to bring me on, Key.
Yes, you know what I want to talk about, because Adrian is a little shook, a little scared to talk about it. But you know what I want to talk about with you, Tiffany.
I know what you want to talk about. You bring me on whenever
you don't talk about that kind of stuff over here.
And we talk about it on channels.
we keep it strictly IT travel, good people traveling and having a great time, making money.
Are there good people among your kind?
Hey, there, as my old boy Trump
coming to tonight's show.
Like my good boy Trump said, there's fine people on both sides.
Oh my God. It's really time to go now. Good night. Good night. Y'all have a good night.
This was great, y'all. Thank you so much for having me.
Always. You always welcome.
Yes. But yeah, hold on. Let me find your joint. Here. Let's find what your channel name is.
Awkward Black Nomad.
Awkward. Yes.
I really should have had it, to be honest, but I'm not good at marketing myself.
That's okay. I mean, I got you right here. Yeah, next time we got to do the simul, like if you want to, I can have it to where like this live will pop up on your channel as well. Simulcast. So let's do that next time. So you get watch time, you get the watch time.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, so that helps. And it brings people to your channel as well too. You'll probably have to create your own thumbnail. And so like how I sent you the information. Oh, you can use my thumbnail. It doesn't matter. I can give you the same thumbnail or whatever. But yeah. Okay. So that's her information. We'll do that next time. And
that'll be great. And then we can talk about if you want to participate in the conversation, because I usually only have women on my channel, but if you participate in the conversation, we can include you.
Yes.
We gotta include. We gotta have an advocate on our side, so we need to include him.
I think you know what? You're right. You're right.
Yeah,
If it's gonna be any guy, he needs to be the guy. Okay.
there are men out here that love black women and support black
We're
women.
not even gonna have this conversation right now.
Can we play the music and just get him off the stage? Can we just?
Yeah. Can we go? Can we go? Good night, y'all.
All right, y'all. It's been good. I appreciate y'all. We will see y'all in 2 weeks. Y'all have a good holiday this week, short week.
Yeah, it's 4th of July week. It's colonizer free day.
Yes, we already had our little
Right.
little time there. So yeah, that my daughter called me now. So I will talk with y'all later. Thank y'all.
All right, thanks, y'all.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.